So, good morning, everybody. My name is Martin Böhm. I guess we can start here with session 2 on the CITS within the UVAR Exchange workshop. We're dealing in this specific session, and I guess you all have also received the mirror link, which we will use a little bit later. We will first do a 10 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes introduction to the topic itself. We will discuss possibilities of using CITS services really supporting UVARs. The aim is that we're mainly opening the discussion. So this is not a final workshop. I guess that's important. It's more or less a kickoff of the whole scene. We know that CITS bringing information directly into the vehicle via the infrastructure link. On the other hand, also receiving maybe the one or other data from the vehicle to the infrastructure has a huge potential. Deployment of CITS has just recently started, so it's something quite new in the field, which can be used. And within UVAR Exchange, the European Commission really asked us to look at the potentials of CITS. We have seen in the opening session, and we have also heard a lot about street signs, physical signs that are placed and that need to be harmonized. In parallel, we see a huge potential in really exchanging data between the infrastructure and the vehicle directly. And we have also proposed to the European Commission that we will have a short demonstrator showing what is possible today, but also to have a series of workshops and discussions to look on the potentials for the future. So we are starting with what is there today, both in deployment, but as well as in research, which gives no precondition which is no precondition of what will be done in future. So we also need to give a little bit of guidance towards the European Commission how to deal with the UVAR topic in the connected vehicle surrounding. And just also for the intro, we, as in the first session, I saw in the chat, I think it was either Bob or Knut, mentioning that getting data out of the vehicle, this is not standardized and so on. Yes, we are aware of that. And for sure, legislation is not prepared today to do so. Even standardization and harmonization of these elements is not done today. But at the end, and our aim is really to have our demonstrators finalized mid of next year. So really to come with our recommendations in the second half of next year towards the European Commission. What are the next steps? What is the potential? What to focus at and so on. That's really the aim of UVAR Exchange, where we will have a deep look inside. Just for giving some intro and to prepare the floor so that we have a common understanding what we are dealing with, I would like to hand over to my colleague, Alexander Stumptner, who will guide us today through the workshop or through this session, who will start first with a short presentation, 5 minutes maximum, and afterwards we will really look to your inputs using the Miro board, where the link can also be found in the chat. Alexander, please.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you for the introduction and welcome everybody to the presentation. I may share my screen with the PowerPoint slides. We have the topic today of session 2 of CITS messages with UVAR information. You've already heard in the first hour what we understand as an UVAR, and we
Alexander,
would, yeah,
you're still in the presenter mode. You are
ah,
not the full screen mode.
okay. I tried to share it again. Is it working now?
Yes, looks fine.
Okay, perfect. So we've already heard the explanation of UVARs and what we and the European Commission understands by it. And we would like to highlight today the CITS benefits for stakeholder as well for the end users. When it comes to updating the infrastructure informations, we have the chance to do services into the vehicle, and also when we want to establish as a city policies for the end users, so they will get a notify that they will enter a zone where a special thing is happening, like you're not permitted to drive with gasoline inside this geofenced area. Also, a benefit is that the messages will not only display on a navigation system, but also in the vehicle itself. It may also reduce the noise and air pollution because of those limited traffic zones, and also it will be a benefit for the well-being and the health as well. The better routing opportunities for the traffic control center with less traffic congestion for the end users will also be a highlighted point where we have a huge potential to reduce CO2 and also noise pollution. And also, it could be further the CITS messages be digital law in the future. So if the European Commission says the digital law is enforced, um, so the CITS messages could also be a legal law. When it comes to CITS, how how does it look like? First and foremost, you need to have a traffic control distribute roadside units on key spots where they think it will be necessary. And those roadside units are capable to communicate with short range G5 um, wireless LAN connection to the vehicle. Another approach on this scenario on CITS is also on a cloud-based service via cellular network. Therefore, you can use 3G, 4G, and in the future 5G. This is the architecture explaining how the communication works. So basically, the traffic control center sends out to the central ITS station a message, and this central ITS message will distribute to the given roadside unit the message it needs, like an IVI. We will look into this further in a moment. And from this roadside units, basically every car will get the message which is in range. When it comes to CITS standards, we have basically four types of messages formats. One is from the car itself. It's a CAM message. So basically the car is telling via this CAM message what his heading is, his if their lights are on, the location, and so on. When it comes to DNM, basically the infrastructure traffic control center um, is sending out a weather warning or maybe an accident. So basically the car will receive from the infrastructure itself the message to a given point of time. When it comes to in-vehicle information, we can display inside the vehicle dynamic messages and also text. Therefore, if we would like to inform the end user if there's something happening, we can also use the free text format. Last but not least is this SPAT map. It's basically installed in the traffic light itself, and it will signal the phases, how long it will take be green again, and also you will get the map displayed into the vehicle from the road. What we would like to point out here is that our use cases, which we will present later, are basically heavily based on IVI and map messages, but also we are able with our mobile app to do is communicate with the infrastructure via CAM messages. There you have an example how it would look like in vector. Every dot of those green dots is a CAM message, and you see that you have not a CAM message, but an IVI trigger point. And if you drive on this road and you reach these trigger points, you will get a notification that in a couple of hundred of meters, an event is happening. So basically, first of all, you have the detection zone, and after this star point on the 0, you will have the relevant zone where this kind of IVI message is valid and true. When it comes to our first use case, what we would like to demonstrate via a traffic control center capable to send out IVI messages via a CITS server is basically that we would like to display that when you're entering a zone of relevance, you will get a text into your vehicle that something is happening, like a low emission zone, and you need to switch over to electric mode. And this is our first use case, and we will use the free text message for this one. The second use case is a geofencing via IVI message. As you can see here, our roadside unit have a range of approximately 2.4 kilometers in the open field. And when you reach the edge of this circle, you will get the message that this is a low emission zone, and you therefore need to switch over also to electric mode. This could be placed in a given area where a low emission zone will be established or is already established as well. This kind of use case will support the geofencing, which is only capable for now in a cellular network. So what are the next steps? The first step is right now. So we are looking forward to approach 2 to 4 cities which would like to participate in this demonstration acts and also would like to push further their visibility on the CITS genre. On the second step, we would like to organize a kickstart workshop for the given cities, which we would like to invite and explain even further our use case scenarios in detail. For our demonstrations, what we are heading to do in and we are looking forward to have a lot of participating cities. On step 4, we are including it as well further interesting and reach out for stakeholders, and this will be on September and October 2022. And thank you for your attention for right now. I will share the mirror link right away again. Okay, is there a question or I saw a hand? Are there any questions for now? Doesn't seem so. Then if you would be so kind and follow me to the mirror link. Perfect. A lot of thinkers in the room. I hope you can see my screen right now. So we will start over here with the stakeholder feedback, what potential the CITF technology provides, the communication of users to vehicles now and in the future. And as you see, we have some sticky notes, and you can write into those sticky notes. We have a couple of questions prepared. The first question would be, do you see CITS ready for submitting US services for right now? The second question is, which benefits, risks do you see for the city with the CITS technology? The third question would be, what is the potential of CITS based on UVAR services? The fourth question is, which city is prepared to demonstrate UVAR CITS services? So if you know that your city is prepared to do so, please write in here. And maybe you have other related input you would like to share with the group. Are there any questions for now?
I guess it's important. You have all these yellow post-its. You're invited really, to make out of the post-its, to make them full with text. And we will afterwards have a look on the single post-its. You can also copy post-its. So if we are running out, and I also have at the bottom, I have added additional ones. Feel free here to go through the questions and to bring in your thoughts, really to support us with your thoughts. And I think, we will have, 10 minutes from now on, really unlocking on so that you formulate your remarks, your inputs, and then we will go through and having a look on your post-its if we are really understanding everything fine, and also to get a little bit an insight on your thoughts. Okay, I think I will go a little bit through what we have so far. Do you see CITS ready for submitting UVAR services? Here I see mainly three elements. We have on the one hand the yes, so it needs a quite lot of extensions. See note on standards in Teams chat. Thank you very much, Knut. Um, I took those anyhow. I think standardization is not ready so far. I'm here, or is prepared, but deployments are not ready so far. We also see the real-time communication between road authorities and road users can make dynamic traffic regulations orders happening. Yes, it's also a can. It can be in future. Then we have the GDPR element, which is for sure a topic as soon as it comes to enforcement. If we are dealing in the first hand on information, we see that also here in the second comment. I guess for information, the GDPR is not the problem. As soon as, of course, enforcement goes with it, then we have slightly different rules. And of course, and I think this one comment, no, it's not good to use free text messages. You have to think about translation, distraction, and so on. Yes, a free text message. I'm here completely with you. But for the demonstrator, as long as there are no specific use cases already specified so that there are specifications how to deploy those. I think for our demonstrators, we will need to work with free text messages, as here the process of having the final use cases done, at least to my knowledge, are not ready so far. But for sure, free text is also always language dependent, and this must not be our final goal. And of course, I also had one comment. I think that comes from Bob. Would it be helpful for Zen to arrange a workshop on Zen TS 17380, control zone management for UVARs using CITS? I think that's a good idea, which we can also discuss bilaterally. Concerning the benefits, risks for cities, of course, fragmentation is a big risk. This needs international regulation, at least international cooperation here. And that's also our starting point, really dealing with the C-roads community, where we have at least a harmonization between European countries. And that's our starting point. But for sure, afterwards, when looking towards the recommendations, that's something what we can take with us. Keeping it up to date might be difficult, as you nowadays see with roadworks. Yes, the update and actuality is always a problem. But when, and this is mainly a topic of UVAR box, where we are dealing with the data itself, with the information itself. If it's really linked to the regulation itself, then we hope when we are coming to a digital regulation, then hopefully also the updates might happen in a digital form. But for sure here, the processes need to be looked at. Of course, it could help cities to organize enforcement if even this is not the major aim in the first step, at least from this demonstrator. Of course, enforcement it's a topic of UVAR exchange itself. But for this demonstrator, we are really looking mainly on the technology and the benefits of the technology. The interoperability of the use system or its components is a key for proper functionality. It has to be assured and verified. I think this goes a little bit hand in hand also with the fragmentation. So interoperability, that's really a must. Um, Benefit cities can operate real-time traffic management based on variable inputs. Air quality levels can be input for redirecting motorized and traffic at specific moments. This a little bit speaks, at least from my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, speaks for dynamic UVARs, so where a city can really react on the current situation. Beside the interoperability, the measures against cyber attacks, yeah, security, that's one of the core elements, that's for sure. Cost and long transition period. CITS will need to coexist with other information enforcement solutions. Full support here from my side. And looking at least on what's happening in zeros, then CITS, it's just one information channel, and in parallel, other information channels with the same information need to be supported. So it's not the solution from today on, everything is digital and everything is CITS, but we will need a kind of transition period. Then we have here two posts concerning the costs on both sides, on the side of the city, on side of the cars. And for sure, this is something which is not solved today, and this maybe also goes a little bit together with regulation. And hopefully the benefits are bigger and larger than the costs, but for sure the costs are a core element. Uncertain technology can mean that we choose the wrong solutions. In my understanding, CITS, it's a new solution, but it does not 100% depend on the technology, at least not on the communication technology. Eva Alexander has shown short range and long range. We can use all communication media that exist. Where we need to focus on are the services. So this goes a little bit towards Knut and Bob. We need to ensure standardization. We need to ensure interpreting the standards towards specifications. A very good and interesting comment as well coming from Denmark is concerning the low emission zones that typically address old vehicles. Maybe the potential for this system is for zero emission zones. So we see the low emission zones are addressing old vehicles. We are now speaking about a new technology. So we might need to have to need some time really to manage that. And then, of course, how do you enforce the regulation? The enforcement, it's always a topic. We have a benefit, nothing for the driver to do, information come on its own, cool. One of the risks, it must be ensured that every user can receive the information. So this goes a little bit hand in hand with the transition period, at least in my understanding. So there will be different channels, hopefully, that are providing over information, and CITS might be one of those channels. A benefit could be that the system could be used for more than one UVAR, so combination of different UVARs in one CITS system could save the city time and money. Yes. Then we have also concerning the notification. Of course, it would be good not only to receive the notification when you're entering the zone, but timely enough also beforehand. So I have here three information or three post-its that a little bit go into the same direction, that we really need to have a proper information, a proper in time beforehand information. I hope I have answered for the first 2 points everything also correctly for you. Are there additional comments from your side? If yes, you can just turn on your mics. Thank you, Bob, already for this for the standard on CIT cybersecurity. Then what we have, what is the potential of CITS-based UVAR services? Two-way communication, yes, of course. Even I have doubts to show to, and that we are able to demonstrate two-way communication. We have here at Austria Tech, we have one concept vehicle where we as well can submit, of course, information from the vehicle to the infrastructure. But this is not standardized yet. But in principle, and it's very clear, CITS is always speaking about two-way communication. So it's not only infrastructure to vehicle, but also the vehicle to the infrastructure. The role of G5 as a standardized system, this can be used for other traffic functions, should be emphasized. I'm not sure if it's G5 or 5G. It's stated G5, which is short-range communication. This, of course, also can be used for other traffic functions, and that's used currently for others. In future, this might also include UVARs. The potential I see to inform drivers in several... Pardon? Potentially, I see to inform drivers in several ways, radio, roadside, onboard unit, and so on. Probably not to participate the enforcement. Yeah, I think this is what I also stated. We will use several channels to inform the drivers. For at least in the first step, we will not have a look on the enforcement itself. Even we need to consider that, at least in our final workshop, looking on the future potentials. Zone regulation can be combined with road pricing. We can, for example, have 3 types of zones: rural zone regulation, suburban, urban zone regulation, highest price in urban zones. Yes. I think here there's a lot of potential on zone regulation itself, and CITS would be in the first step, or could be, an information channel. When infrastructure along the road and in the car is in place, zone regulation can be a better way to regulate traffic. It will be easier to understand. It requires fewer signs, but the zones must be clearly physically marked in the landscape. Yes. Initiate a UVAR verifiable credential exchange between the city and the driver. Proof of request through, I can't see it now because Knut, thank you, through DITCOM. Credential. Is that
Can I ask you something?
Yes, please.
It's Katja Asmussen from Denmark, Ministry of Environment. I was just wondering, you just mentioned that it can be used for road pricing. And again, I think it's linked to one of my previous comments about you're regulating the whole car fleet, and the age of the car fleet is very you have both old cars without GPS or anything, and you have newer cars where you can give this information. But how will you tackle road pricing or any other systems with this system, or is it only a system for information for the car drivers?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your question. CITS, as it is set up today, it's a poor information system. So all information that is received by the single vehicle, by the single driver from CITS, it's information. Current regulation is not prepared to have, for example, the Digital Traffic Act of single countries. That's not existing, yeah? That's for sure an element where improvements are needed so that in future, and also by thinking towards automation, when CITS CITS services can trigger in-vehicle functions, automated in-vehicle functions, then it needs to be a kind of legal system. So that it's not just information, but that it's really a kind of, yeah, it's not an information system. It's really a system that can trigger in-vehicle functions. For the moment, it's about informing about current existing regulations, informing, for example, about tolling schemes, informing about UVARs. We see that in some demonstrators, and Knut has shown that and has sent me also some links in Norway, but also in Sweden, in Gothenburg, where they have shown that when entering a zone, that the vehicle itself changes the engine towards a pure electric. So there are possibilities. CITS, it's a real-time service. There are potentials, but currently the legal framework is not there, is not existing. So when speaking about those things, it's one additional communication channel. It's an information channel. That's how it is today.
Could I use 1 minute just to explain a little bit more about those projects in Norway, Knut here?
Yes, please, Knut, go on.
Okay. Yeah, now you were very correct in saying that the GeoSum project were about plug hybrid vehicles, where when they entered the GeoZone in the city, they would go from petrol to electric only. And it was tested quite a few different types of vehicles with retrofitted equipment, but also some factory vehicles from Volvo that could do it on their own without any extra equipment. So both old and new vehicles were in that. The new project is more on tolling, which was also the question, where you have various zones with various kilometer-based pricing schemes. And again, it will use CITS retrofitted stations for the majority, but also some testing on some modern electric-only vehicles, in this case Polestar, that do it with only built-in type equipment and only software services added on top. So the UVAR concept is already actually being deployed on CITS in 200 vehicles this January for this type of piloting. Thank you.
Thank you, Knut. I see time flowing. We still have, I guess, 12 minutes. We have also received some interest, at least from Norwegian cities, from France. And we also got some other related inputs, but I would also like to receive some inputs to the other 3 questions, especially looking on the use cases. And for that, I would like to hand over again to Alexander. Alexander, can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you? Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much for all your inputs so far. I took the liberty to note them in the learning section over here. So we have a compact view on all our gains today on knowledge. What we would like to do is, as you heard, we plan to do 2 use cases, one with a free text message and one with a geofencing message. We would like to invite you to point out the benefits, challenges for use case 1, as you see it as you as a city, and also for use case 2, the benefits and challenges. And maybe you think about another use case you would like to test out, and you think of it, it is CITS server compatibility, so we can try it out. Please take a note inside the question mark and explanation for use case XY. Due to the fact that time is flowing, I would suggest to do a power round of approximately 5 minutes into this worksheet. And after that, we will get to the learning section. So I see that some of us are still writing.
Anyhow, I think we can continue, Alexander. Will you do it?
Yeah, sure. So thank you very much for all your input. We have a learning section. As you have seen the next steps before, we have in the right corner a learning section where I took the liberty to copy paste all your very interesting inputs, as well as some challenges and risks, so we have a broad perspective about the topic. At first, we have all the standards we need to read and also understand, so we have a common understanding in which direction we're all going in terms of ISO and CEN standards. As we heard before, it could really help the cities to organize enforcement. And it's also that it's nothing to do for the driver when it comes to switching over. Also, of course, the vehicle to infrastructure and infrastructure to vehicle is a major topic, because as a city, you do not want to be blind when it comes to congestion charges. And of course, we had also some new ideas for use case XY. I will copy paste it as well. The learning section. I hope you don't hear the construction site next to me. There's also a GitHub link. Thank you for that. So we do have one more minute. If you're interested to get in touch with us with Astrotech or the UVAR Exchange project, please do write me an email. My email contact is next to the learning page, and I will be happy to answer all your questions afterwards. If you have anything else you would like to share with the group, please take a note and write me an email. And last words are from Martin.
Thank you, Alexander. You also see on the Miro board the next steps. This what we are doing today. It's for us. It's really a kickoff element, a kickoff workshop where we are collecting your thoughts and comparing those also with ours. We have planned for those cities that are really interested to become visible also with UVAR Box, where you have already up and active running demonstrators, or maybe where we are able to show the one or other information, that we will have a kick-off workshop really on preparing the demonstrators end of January, beginning of February. So here, this might be really a kind of technical workshop where we then are really looking into specifications, industry standards, what to use here and there, how really to prepare cities, how to prepare maybe the one or other vehicle. So what we can show, where we are also working on a timeline, how we can do the demonstrators. The idea is that by summer next year, we are able to run the demonstrators, which is not necessarily all at the same, but really to have the single demonstrator to collect their information and maybe to make here or there also a nice video so that we can show not only towards the European Commission, but also to the external world about CITS and the potential for UVARs. I think it was also mentioned several times that UVAR might be a starting point for the Digital Traffic Act, and being visible here and being part of this has for sure some benefit also towards feasibility. And the idea is then to have September, October next year, a final CITS demonstrator workshop, really pointing out what are the potentials, what are our learnings, what are our common learnings. We already have seen the one or other here today, which might for sure also pop up again in September, October next year. But anyhow, I would like to thank you for your interest, not only in UVAR Exchange, but also on the potential of CITS supporting the UVAR Exchange and supporting, really presenting the current UVAR regulations to the single traveler. For sure, if you are interested in learning more, in joining us, on the one hand, there is the possibility, as also Maria presented in the beginning, to subscribe to our newsletter. On the other hand, Alexander, you know the email address of Alexander, who has his contact there. I guess most of you know also my email address. Feel free to get in contact with us. And for sure, we will get also in contact with the one or other from your side. With this, I would like really to thank you very much for your inputs, which are very valuable. And we still have a 10 minutes break until we restart in the former MS Teams room, really to continue with the workshop itself. Thank you for the moment. And yeah, see you soon in 10 minutes time or 12 minutes time in the other room again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.